In one of our previous episodes, which was episode number 6 about the Oakland County child killer, we did not really arrive at a definitive conclusion on who was committing those killings. However, our exploration had led us into the intricate web of infamous criminals who were active in Oakland County during that particular era. Many unanswered questions still linger, including the possibility of additional victims. It is possible that the OCCK's reign of terror extended beyond those already identified. This is one of the lingering mysteries that we continue to grapple with. One of those unidentified victims could potentially be that of Nadine O'Dell. Nadine O'Dell was a 16-year-old girl who disappeared on August 16th in 1974 in Inkster, Michigan, which is fairly close by to the area where the OCCK killings happened. This happened a couple of years before the OCCK murder spree, while the OCCK targeted a certain victim profile and was mostly active in Oakland County between February 15th of 1976 and March 16th of 1977. Could it be possible that the perpetrator targeted different victims in other areas first? Was it all just a coincidence? Was Nadine's disappearance somehow connected to the Oakland child killer? Or was this somehow connected to a different perpetrator?
Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Weeknight Mysteries. I'm joined here by Eurus. How are you today?
Hey Rain, I'm good. Are you excited to talk about Nadine O'Dell's disappearance case?
Yeah, definitely. This was suggested by a subscriber, right?
Yes, this was one of our commenters who actually left a comment on episode 6.
The OCCK murders.
Oakland Child County Killer Murders. And they left a comment regarding Nadine O'Dell, which is a woman, a 16-year-old girl who went missing sometime before the OCCK killings actually happened. And it sparked our interest. Now, this person also left us some of his personal research, some information via email. Real quickly, just want to say, if you guys have anything to email us, please send your emails to weeknightmysteries@gmail.com, and we will...
Maybe you could show it on the screen.
I will definitely show it on the screen. And this is how you can reach us. And so if you have your own research or you feel like you want to share something with us, please send us emails. We will be checking emails on a regular basis now.
Yeah, let us know. We'd love to hear all about them.
All right. So Nadine O'Dell, she was a 16-year-old girl who went missing on August 16, 1974. She was described as a Caucasian female with long strawberry blonde hair with green eyes. She was 5'1" in height and weighed 105 pounds at the time of her disappearance. She is missing for quite some time now. She would be 64 years of age at the time of this recording. Okay, so before we jump into maybe the timeline of her disappearance, anything else that struck out to you about Nadine?
Not necessarily. I was looking at this, actually. I was doing some research about this case, and the thing is, there is very little information about it. And clicking on different articles, most of what they're saying are practically uniform, all just the same.
So there's not a lot of details we can look at, right? Okay, so at 9:30 a.m. on August 16th in 1974 in the morning, Nadine was last seen walking on John Daly Road towards Michigan Avenue en route to her boyfriend's house because she was going to babysit his little siblings. She was wearing a faded baggy blue jeans, a white t-shirt, and her boyfriend's Taylor High School class of 1976 ring on a neck chain. The ring was described as white gold with a blue stein, a ram's head, and the numbers 76 or 1976. Nadine and her boyfriend agreed to meet halfway there. However, when Nadine did not show up, her boyfriend headed straight to her house and realized that she was missing. A search started by Nadine's, family but she has never been seen or heard from ever since, right?
And that's the only information we have so far.
That's literally all we got, right? But it's worth mentioning that, a commenter had contacted us.
Robert O'Dell.
Robert O'Dell has sent us some information that we're still trying to analyze, actually, because the information is frankly hard to understand at first glance. But apparently Robert O'Dell is implicating potentially someone from his family. I think we'll have his...
Someone from Nadine's family.
Someone from Nadine's family. Well, Robert O'Dell claims to be related to Nadine himself, right?
Herself, yeah.
And I have his comment that he left basically on our YouTube channel. So basically, Robert O'Dell, I hope he doesn't mind me sharing, but he publicly commented. So I'm pretty sure that we're not going to share necessarily the contents of the emails that he sent us, but I think we can definitely share the comment that Robert left on our YouTube channel, right? So Robert said that, and this is his comment, I'm just going to read it. My aunt came up missing in 1974. Her name was Nadine Jean O'Dell. She disappeared in Inkster in August. Family rumors state it was a family member. Her brother Frank drove a blue AMC Gremlin, a little known fact, but an Allen wrote a letter saying that it was a Frank who killed the kids. Alan is also the name of one of Nadine's 8 siblings. I've tried to tell this to the police to no avail. Whew.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I just had to I lost my breath here for a second. So essentially what Robert O'Dell is telling us that his aunt, Nadine O'Dell,
had a lot of siblings, and one of them is a brother named Frank.
Yeah, well, basically she went missing, and that apparently family rumors said that the family member, her brother Frank, drove a blue AMC, and that apparently he...
Which is very interesting because if we look back on the OCCK, or the Oakland County child killer, one of the rumors was that he owned a certain AMC Gremlin as well, right?
Yeah. So apparently, yeah, exactly. Sorry, I was just
scrolling through notes.
giving Robert's initial YouTube comment another read, because I'm trying to kind of decipher what we're trying to put piece together here. So as far as I understand, what Robert claims is that his aunt, Nadine O'Dell, had a brother named Frank. This guy, Frank, had a blue gremlin, the one that was seen in one of the OCCK abductions. Also, he is saying that some guy named Allen wrote to the OCCK investigators that a Frank committed the killings. So basically, this is how he's connecting his connection of his own family member Frank is because he had a blue AMC vehicle, and that his name is Frank. Apparently that apparently he also is suspected by family members to have killed Nadine, which is his sister. So he killed his sister, Nadine. He had the blue gremlin, and then he also, 2 years after killing Nadine, kidnapped a bunch of little kids.
It's very interesting though,
in
right?
Oakland County.
Is it just purely coincidental? But if it hits, it's amazing how they all seem to connect. Could it be the same person, or could it be just a completely different person?
What do you mean?
Like this Frank from Nadine's family, could it be a different person from the Frank suspected of the OCC killings?
Yeah, and how do we know that Frank from the OCCK is even a real thing?
Yeah, that's
It's just
true.
some guy, Alan,
just a
who wrote...
code.
Yeah, it's just do we even know if Frank is...
Is Frank a common name back then?
Oh yeah, it's a common name right now, don't you think? Like there's a million Franks.
Yeah, but not necessarily, not as common as like John or Joe.
But like up there. Don't you think? Like Frank?
Is it more common back then than it is today?
I think so. It's an old
Well,
time
my
name.
grandfather's Frank, so. But he's from Philadelphia, so no worries.
Exactly. So Frank is definitely a common name. And honestly, I don't even really know if we know for a fact that some guy named Frank did it, because we already did talk about the OCCK killers, and we did find a lot of like information about what was that guy, Joseph Sloan, whose car was searched and a hair was found, and the same DNA from that hair was found on one of the victims, or maybe two of the victims. So I feel like we already kind of have like very, very strong leads in the OCCK killings. So, I mean, but anything's possible, obviously.
Yeah.
We're still analyzing Robert's emails because he sent us quite a bit. And
Thank you
Robert,
very much for that, by the way.
yeah, thanks, Robert. And if you have more emails to send us with more information, please send it our way. We're currently a little bit in a dead end with your family member. But if you could provide some more information, we are definitely very interested. By the way, send it to the new Gmail, please. Don't send it to Sinister Report. Send it to weeknightmysteries@gmail.com. I will leave the email in the description.
Yeah, and also, Robert mentioned about this Frank on Web Sleuths, if you remember that.
On WeSleuth, right?
On Web Sleuths, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I actually did a bit of a research in that regard, and I found a Frank 57, an account with the name Frank 57 on Web Sleuths.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he seems like the ex or boyfriend of Nadine, or at least he imposes this one before she disappeared. Frank 57 knew a lot of information, and according to Robert, according to one of his emails, that Frank 57 on Web Sleuths knows some information that only the family members knew about. But at the same time, I was reading his information. I was a little bit skeptical about it because some of the things he posted, or like the descriptions, could be found on the internet.
Right. So we have Frank57, a WeSleuth username.
Yes.
Sorry, WebSleuth username. And this guy, Frank57, apparently is posting a lot about under Nadine's case.
Yeah.
Posting a lot about Nadine's case. Now Robert O'Dell claimed in one of the emails that this Frank57 was posting unknown, publicly unavailable information.
Yeah, only the family knows.
However, you were able to...
Some of the information there,
Yeah.
he was describing the ring on the neck chain.
Yeah.
That...
Oh, it's a alarm? I don't
Yeah.
know. Okay, anyways. So basically, right. Frank57... Robert O'Dell in his emails claims that Frank57 has information that is not publicly available, but you were able to read through it, and thank you very much for doing it, because I wasn't able to do that for this podcast, but you read through it and you think that none of the information that Frank57 posted on WebSleuth is actually publicly not available. You found everything online, right?
Not necessarily. Robert was correct in a way that some family information that Frank57 has shared is not publicly available, but at the same time, for example, you have a girlfriend and she disappeared. I was kind of expecting Frank to, post something about the girlfriend, the ex-girlfriend, something like, this is her favorite, we used to hang out at this spot. But every single postings that I've seen of Frank57 is publicly available on the internet, like the description of the ring that Nadine was wearing and all of that.
Okay.
So not much information that is known.
I know what you're trying to say, and generally this kind of brings me to the question: is Robert O'Dell Frank57?
I don't know. Robert, are you Frank57?
Yeah, okay, no, Robert.
We're just messing around.
Okay, and on some more other notes, because we do want to have a decent length podcast here, we have prepared some more information to talk about, because actually Nadine O'Dell is potentially linked to a serial killer named Arthur Ream.
Yeah.
So, I'm not actually. I will be curious to see what Robert O'Dell, who is the related to Nadine. What do you think about Arthur Ream? Because Arthur Ream is apparently he is someone who is heavily linked to Nadine.
And 4 other girls, I believe, right?
Yes, exactly. So we have this information, and this is all kind of relevant because I would say it kind of will link into the OCCK episode one way or another, because the potential murder spree from Arthur Ream actually spans across the OCCK killing murder spree. So it's like right there in the middle of it. So we could also even think about Arthur Ream as potentially somehow connected to the OCCK killings. I mean, obviously I don't have the statistics here, but just from, doing the OCCK killings episode, and now we're talking about the Nadine O'Dell case, it just seems to me that there's a lot of kind of very messed up things happening in the general area in this part of Michigan in the 70s and 80s. So Arthur Ream, he was actually convicted of his 14-year-old son's girlfriend's named Cindy Zarzikis, right?
Is it Polish?
Yeah, I think it's Polish. Cindy Zarzikis' murder in 1986. Cindy had told friends that she was meeting Arthur at the Dairy Queen on a Sunday, April 20th, 1986. Cindy was never heard from or seen again after that day. So let's unpack what's happening here. We have a guy named Arthur Ream, and he has a 14-year-old son. Now, this 14-year-old son has a girlfriend named Cindy, and Cindy agrees to meet with Arthur, the father of her boyfriend, to apparently do a surprise for
arrange a birthday party for the boyfriend.
But then he kidnapped her,
abducted her, yeah, and sexually assaulted her. Basically, Cindy was never heard from or seen again.
Because I have some more information that Arthur claimed he was shopping with his ex-wife on that same day. However, that wasn't true, and his alibi eventually did not pan out. His ex-wife herself told the jury that he wasn't shopping with her when Cindy disappeared. A prison inmate also testified that Arthur Ream had said he was testifying about a girl he had killed. Authorities have said that Arthur Ream, who is now serving a life sentence, boasted to fellow inmates about killing 4 to 6 people. They also say he failed a recent polygraph test. The police have been digging unsuccessfully for bones on property near the intersection of 23 Mile and North Avenue in Macomb Township. Police believe these cold cases of Kimberly King, Kelly Brownlee, Kim Larrow, Nadine O'Dell, and Cynthia Kuhn may be linked to Arthur Ream. The common denominator of these girls, well, their ages range between the ages 12 to 17, and they had disappeared between 1970 and 1982, within 12 years. And we'll jump into more details about each individual killings, but I mean, I know you've done a little bit more digging into Arthur Ream's whole backstory. Do you have anything else to add, how he was apprehended? Because I want to say one thing. He committed his kills in the 70s and 80s, but he was only apprehended way later in 2008. Do you know, how that came about?
Yeah, from one of the articles that I've read, the case was closed back then, but it was reopened because of a certain podcast. And while the investigators were researching about this case, they eventually contacted Cindy's former friends and interviewed them. And the friends told the authorities that Cindy actually went with Arthur Ream before she eventually disappeared forever. And so the police went to Arthur Ream, and Arthur actually owns a warehouse for the carpets, I believe. And when the authorities went inside to investigate, they found a bed in there, which is pretty weird for a warehouse. And they also found old milk carton with Cindy's. You know how back in the day they would print missing people on like the side of a milk carton box, and they found it. They found one, but with Cindy's face printed on the side, and apparently that carton was like 6 years old during the time they found it, and it was very suspicious because they thought that that milk carton was some sort of souvenir that Arthur Ream kept.
Yeah. And also keeping a bed in the warehouse.
That's pretty weird. And also, I believe in another article that I've read, Arthur was married 4 times. And his first divorce, the wife separated him because he apparently got convicted of a sexual assault to another kid. So this isn't like the first sexual act that he did.
Right, assault, right.
And one more thing.
Yeah.
I also read that in a 2008 videotaped interrogation, Arthur actually admitted to it. Arthur said, was into teenage girls. Okay. He literally said that.
So he admitted to being like into teenage girls, but he didn't really admit to killing anyone, right? Or did he admit to killing?
Eventually he did, and he actually led the authorities. Actually told the authorities where to dig.
For Cindy's body.
Yes.
And did they find Cindy's body? Do we know?
I believe they found the bones, but they haven't found the other teenage girl's bones.
Yeah, but like Cindy was uncovered, her remains, right? Okay, I understand now better. Thanks for sharing that information. On my end, I have some details about those other 4, I believe. Of course.
Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, one more thing. He never fully admitted in killing Cindy. He admitted into like doing offensive things to her, but he never admitted to killing her. He said, I didn't kill Cindy, and I'm not going to get up there and say I did.
Right.
Interesting, right?
Well, it's hard to decipher what he's trying to tell us here.
That's true.
With that statement, right? But now I have a timeline of events here of other potentially related cases, and I actually plotted all of these on a map and overlaid them on a map of the OCCK killings. Remember, I had that map of OCCK killings where all of those 4 kids, victims, and I kind of marked where they were found and where they disappeared from and where their remains were found, and I plotted the potential victims of Arthur Ream. And actually it's pretty interesting because it's definitely everything's happening in the general vicinity, like right across Oakland County. Like I would say maybe Oakland County killings definitely seem super connected because they're very close to each other. But I would say the suspected other victims of Arthur Ream also kind of fall fairly close. I'm not gonna lie, some of them fairly close. I'm definitely sharing this on our YouTube channel, so just if you would like to see that, you could always find it there. Weeknight Mysteries on YouTube. Now, I'm gonna go over these other cases that are potentially linked to Arthur Ream, and then we can kind of give our takes regarding them. The first would be Cynthia Kuhn, who was 13. She vanished on January 19th in 1970 in Ann Arbor, Michigan. She was last seen in January and was known to have called her parents on April 1st and 2nd. During the phone calls, she explained she was unaware of her current location. On May 5th, her family received a phone call offering a ransom for Kuhn's return. So this is pretty freaky because a 13-year-old girl, Cynthia Kuhn, she was last seen on January 19th, but on April, so that's like 2 months later or something like that, she called and she said, I'm unaware where I'm at. And then a couple months after that or something like that, someone called her family asking for like ransom money.
But that is freaky.
That is insane. That is literally so dark. Then we have the next in line would be Nadine O'Dell, according to the timeline, because Nadine went missing 4 years after Cynthia Kuhn. Nadine was 16, and we already talked about her. She was last seen on John Daly Road in Inkster, Michigan Avenue at 9:30 a.m. on August 16th, 1974. She was going to babysit at her boyfriend's house in Taylor, Michigan, and he was going to meet her there. He arrived at the house, but Nadine was never, she never arrived there. We have another girl named Kim King, who was 12, and she actually went missing 5 years after Nadine O'Dell. So, just to give a little bit of a take on the timeline.
Yeah.
It's not happening as quickly as OCCK. OCCK was happening within a month, not even a year, so within a month of each other. But this is happening like 4 years, 5 years after the fact. Kim King disappeared on September 16th, 1979 in Warren, Michigan. She was a girl who went missing in 1979 after crossing a street near her home. Foul play suspected in her case, but that's just about everything I was able to pull out on her on the internet. Then we have another girl named Kim Larrow, who was 15, and she vanished 2 years after Kim King on June 8th, 1981 in Canton, Michigan. And there's a little bit more information about her. Kim had moved from her father's home in Dundee, Michigan to her mother's home on Beaufort Drive in Canton, Michigan, about a week before she actually vanished. A lot of her family lived in the Ida, Michigan area where she spent weekends with her aunt. Kim was described by her family as a rebellious teenager who used drugs and sometimes tried to run away. On one occasion, she left the home unexpectedly and hitchhiked to Florida with a friend. However, according to her family, she would always contact someone when she ran away. They also stated that there were no major issues in her life at the time. She did not have a driver's license or social security number when she went missing. Kim was last seen at an ice cream parlor near Sheldon Road and Ann Arbor Road. Kim's best friend worked at a parlor, and the two had made plans to meet at Haggerty Field in Hines Park that night. Kim never showed up, but was not reported missing for several days. According to some sources, her mother has been uncooperative in the investigation. And that's all we have. And somehow in 2018, she was potentially linked to Arthur Ream. And let's say the last victim that could potentially be connected to Arthur Ream is Kelly Brownlee. Now, she vanished a year after Kim Larrow on May 20th, 1982 in Novi, Michigan. She was a teenager who disappeared in 1982. It is believed that she was murdered after she was last seen at a mall. But once again, no other information why she's connected to Arthur Ream.
Yeah.
But this is basically the information we have. And then and then we know for a fact that 4 years after that, now in 86, Arthur Ream definitely killed Cindy Zarvitsky. So that's what we have here, and if all of these murders are actually connected to him, then that would mean that his killing spree started in 1970s.
Yeah.
And who knows, potentially ended in 1986 if that was his last victim. But that's pretty much it. All I have on Arthur Ream. So kind of giving a little bit of a perspective of what we're even talking about on the podcast today. We started off with Nadine O'Dell because of a commenter left a comment. And now we are kind of uncovering all of these interesting, like, more connections, right? Everything seems so interconnected potentially, like...
Yeah.
All over the place.
A lot was happening in the 70s in Michigan.
I wonder if it's just Michigan or is this just regular? Are we just literally unaware of like other states? Because I feel like this can't be just a Michigan problem, right?
It can happen everywhere.
Probably, I would say so.
Can I just say,
of course,
Arthur Ream looks like a blobfish. I mean,
in recent pictures, he looks like a blobfish. Yep.
yeah. I mean, it's pretty mean thing to say, but he's a criminal.
I mean, I would say it's a realistic thing to say at this point when you kind of look at him and the comparisons, like of a blobfish. He does look like one. On top of that, I know that you've done some investigation into Carl Watts.
Oh yeah, I actually found another comment that kind of connects Carl Watts to Nadine as well. Now, Carl Watts was a very violent guy, and
who is he? Carl Watts. I think he was an American serial killer.
He was. Have you heard about him?
No, never. But apparently he was very notorious.
He killed about 100 women. So you never heard about him?
Have you?
No.
See?
Yeah, but I was under the impression that you heard about him because you've been in this true crime community for a while.
Yeah,
now.
I've been in the space for a while, but I have never heard about this guy. Can you brief us a little bit?
So Carl Watts was an American serial killer dubbed as the Sunday morning slasher. He murdered numerous women and girls over an 8-year period. Watts' confirmed murders took place when he was only 20 years old in 1974. Most of his victims were thin, attractive, white women, and he used methods such as strangulation, stabbing, and drowning. His victims ranged between the ages of 14 to 44. Carl Watts murdered dozens of women between 1974 and 1982, and despite the many women he murdered, he was not discovered as a serial killer for almost 8 years. Carl may have been involved in the disappearance of Nadine O'Dell, who was only 16 years old when she disappeared on August 16, 1974. She was last seen walking down John Daly Street in Inkster, Michigan, on her way to babysit her boyfriend's house in Taylor. Her body was never been found, and nobody witnessed her presumed abduction. At 10:45 a.m. on October 25, 1974, Leonor
Knizacki.
Thank you for doing that.
But there's a lot of Polish names here. Okay.
Yeah, was attacked and choked into unconsciousness by Carl Watts. Police were later alerted by Leonor, but they were unable to find her attacker. Gloria Steele was another 20-year-old student of Western Michigan University who was tortured and brutally killed by Watts on October 30th, 1974. She was discovered with a crushed windpipe and 33 chest stab wounds from a wood carving instrument. These are only two of the many women victims that Carl attacked or had killed.
Yeah, you've shown me his Wikipedia page, and there was a lot.
There was a long list of women, and it's gonna take us a while to go through every single one of them. But do you think it has a connection with Nadine?
I mean, potentially, right? This guy has been on a rampage.
Yeah, but I mean, I think his victims were always found, but they've been brutally attacked.
That's right. Well, I don't think it's certain how many victims he had exactly, but in terms of Nadine's case, I feel like anything's possible right here.
That's true.
We're just trying to collect as much information here and kind of try to piece together this whole big Michigan puzzle of these missing
interconnected web of
I would say
scary people.
Yeah, exactly. I would say the biggest kind of question for me is like how exactly are they connecting those 5 girls that I've mentioned? Nadine O'Dell, Cynthia Kuhn, Kim King, Kim Larrow, Kelly Brownlee, to Arthur Ream. Like, they probably have something.
Probably same victim profile?
Same, but would that really be enough to connect them? Because that's pretty hard, you know what I mean? I think there might be something more specific happening here. And yeah, I hope that someone in the comments could kind of chime in here. Even Robert himself, you know what I mean? We are definitely appreciate that you inquired with your emails for us to kind of look into this, and we have. But currently we're looking at a dead end in terms of Nadine's case, so feel free to kind of leave another comment.
Shed some more light,
or email us at weeknightmysteries@gmail.com, our new email account, and we will definitely look into it.
We should also look into Carl Watts. He seems like a terrifying individual.
Indeed. And I would say this was probably like a shorter episode, but we did a good half an hour here. So I think it's a good, nice episode to kind of wrap up, food for thought for some people who were unaware of these murders, because these are lesser known. And unless you have anything to add, because I've seen that we have pretty much ran through our notes for today.
Yeah, but let us know if you have any more information about your opinions or some facts that we haven't seen or heard about, and we could potentially make a part 2.
Yeah, exactly.
If we manage to gather more information about
Exactly.
this.
I actually really feel very close to this whole Michigan killing sprees. You know what I mean? I really like looking into it, and I feel compelled to look more. So leave your thoughts, guys, and I guess we'll see you on the next episode. See ya, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.